Gen Z is buying homes faster than anyone had ever expected, and they're doing it in completely different ways than the generations before them. Most people think that Gen Zs can't afford homes because of high student debts and stagnant wages that just simply can't keep up to the rising home prices. But data shows that they're actually outpacing millennials at the same age, and they're using strategies that are completely changing how real estate works. My name is Mariel. I'm a top 1% agent in Vegas, and I've helped hundreds of families buy their first homes. In this video, I'm going to break down the 4 biggest ways that Gen Z is revolutionizing real estate, from their research habits, financing strategies, and what this means for agents who want to stay ahead. In the end, you'll know exactly how you can adapt your business to serve these next generation of home buyers. So if you want to learn how to position yourself to help them win in today's market, keep on watching. First and foremost, Gen Z loves to research. They need to verify literally everything. While older generations fall in love with the house at first sight, Gen Z treats a home buying process like a research project. They research and weigh everything before making a decision. So if you've ever worked with a Gen Z buyer before, you've heard them say, "I'm not in a hurry," more times than you can remember. It's because Gen Z grew up in the information age. There's reviews and articles about everything. So if they want to find out about something, they can usually find it online. Also, having witnessed millennials go through the high student debts and the 2008 housing market crisis, Gen Z buyers are more risk averse in their financial behavior than any generations before them. They are terrified of making big mistakes. Here's what this looks like in practice. Before a Gen Z buyer actually calls you, they've already done weeks, if not months, of extensive research. They've already studied the market trends on Zillow, watched a dozen videos on TikTok, and probably knows more about the interest rates than an average first-time agent. So what they lack in life experiences, they actually make up in their diligence in research. And I'm not talking about casual browsing. They are using comprehensive, multi-platform investigation. This means when you're working with a Gen Z buyer, don't assume that you have to educate them from scratch. They are coming to you for validation and expert guidance, not basic information. This is where your role shifts from an educator to more of a consultant. So let's talk about where Gen Zs are actually getting their information. 60% of Gen Zs get their information from TikTok. Let me repeat that. So 6 out of 10 Gen Z buyers actually learn about real estate from a 30-second video. And it's just not TikTok. 81% of Gen Z buyers use social media for their overall real estate research. And they're following agents, investors, financial influencers that break down these home buying processes in bite-sized, digestible content. Their buying journey often begins with the social media platforms such as Instagram and YouTube, where they follow influencers that shape their expectations by showcasing homes, highlighting trends, and also giving them inspirations on home designs. And they're not passively consuming content. They're actually using social media to validate what they're seeing. They'll see a video property online or the top 5 tips and tricks to buy real estate, then they'll cross-reference that with traditional sources. One Gen Z buyer that I worked with in the past already knew most of the builders and the communities in his desired area on our first buyer consultation. These buyers heavily rely on social media for information, but they still come to an agent for a reality check. And that's exactly the role that you need to position yourself for. If you don't have a social media presence, you are invisible to this generation. But don't just post listings or past sales. You have to actually post educational content that will position yourself as the expert that gives professional advice, not just social media hype. Remember that Gen Z is used to seeing all the details because of the unique content out there. They probably already watch a ton of videos on where to buy their first real estate, how to qualify for one, the best neighborhoods out there. So they're going to come to you for very niche questions about the true home buying process. And if you can only provide basic information, you won't be enough. Now, the reason why Gen Z researches so much is because they're trying to optimize their options as much as possible. So while other generations focus more on their dream neighborhoods or that they want to live near families, Gen Zs are actually more laser focused on convenience and how they can build wealth. They want to make sure that they get the most out of their money. Data shows that Gen Zs actually focus more on markets that are more affordable. And in Las Vegas, that means a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom condo, townhomes, or starter homes that are actually further away from the strip. So one Gen Z buyer that I'm currently working with right now told me, "You know, Mariel, I don't need to buy my perfect home. This just has to make financial sense for me and allow me to have my own space. And because he's willing to adjust his location, property type, and size, he's able to make smart long-term decisions that fit his lifestyle and financial goals. And here's the kicker. They're buying the smallest home in any generation. A 2-bedroom, 2-bath, roughly a median size of 1,500 square feet is enough space for them. And in reality, most of the Gen Z buyers that I've worked with in the past are just geared towards building their career first versus starting a family so soon. So a smaller home that allows them to have a roommate or two is enough for them. And they also understand that getting on the property ladder early, even with a smaller home in a less upscale neighborhood, is enough for them to start building wealth earlier than most generations before them. They just want to avoid taking on more than what they can handle and regretting their decisions later on in life. And this creates massive opportunities for agents that are specializing in these markets. Gen Zs are coming in with family money, they're very motivated, and they're thinking long term. So how can Gen Zs afford these homes? The truth is, they're not doing it alone. Most of them co-sign their homes. 22% of Gen Z homeowners purchased their home with a sibling in 2025, and 45% of them had a co-signer on their mortgage, which is higher than any generation before them. But it goes beyond siblings. About 80% of Gen Z homeowners actually depend on their family to help them with their down payment and closing costs when they buy their first homes. And 30% of Gen Zs move directly from living with family straight to home ownership and just skip the rental phase entirely. Gen Zs hate renting and they hate landlords. They think that paying rent is just a waste of money. They'd rather stay with family until they can save enough money to buy their first home. And this isn't just financial support. This is actually a strategic family wealth transfer that is happening earlier than before. Parents and grandparents are actually recognizing that waiting for inheritance might just be a little bit too late. So they're more inclined to helping their children achieve their home ownership now. What this creates is a completely different buying dynamic. You're just not working with one buyer, but you're working with the whole family. So what does this all mean for an agent? Here are 4 critical changes that you need to make right now. First, you have to embrace a multi-party transactions. Learn how to navigate family dynamics, sibling partnerships, and the gifting documentation processes. The parents are going to be part of the conversation from day one. And this isn't just a nice skill to have anymore. This is actually becoming essential. Understanding the multi-party transactions and how the co-ownership structures work will allow you to effectively service these new generation homeowners. Second, become an educational resource. Gen Z buyers come to you not as a transaction facilitator, but as a consultant. They want you to show them multiple options from various communities, new homes versus resale homes, and which loan officers that they can work with. You have to position yourself as the hub of their whole home buying team. They are depending on you to ensure that you are watching out for their best interest. Third, you have to build your social media presence. Remember that these types of buyers follow real estate agents, investors, and financial influencers that break down processes. If you don't have a social media account, you're literally invisible to this generation. But don't just post listing and past sales. You have to post educational content that can truly validate what they're seeing online. You should be the first person they think of when they want to buy a home. If they like you and they trust you, they will buy from you. Fourth is adapting to pre-informed clients. Like we talked about in the earlier video, Gen Z buyers have already done their extensive research. One agent told me they see all this information online, but they come to me for validation. You have to position yourself in a role where you not only professionally guide them, but to also set realistic expectations. And sometimes, they just might be misinformed. Just be very patient with them because they are still first-time home buyers. There's a lot of information that they are sifting through. Keep in mind that Gen Z currently represents 3% of the buyers in today's market, but that number is growing fast. If you can easily adapt to the way this generation approaches real estate, you will dominate the market in the next decade. And if you don't, well, you're gonna be wondering where all of your clients went. Now, to summarize this video, we've talked about how Gen Z extensively researches, discovers opportunities through social media, strategically selects affordable markets, how they pull family resources to buy their first homes, and how they expect their agents to easily adapt to their tech-savvy, family-integrated approach. And if this changed how you think about the next generation of buyers, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more real estate industry insights. And for Gen Z buyers that are looking to start their home buying journey, I've put together a free first-time home buyer guide that is full of information, strategies, tips, and resources to help you navigate the Vegas market with confidence. Whether you're eyeing your first condo, townhome, or starter home, I'll walk you through the entire process. Send me a message on Instagram, and I'd love to work with you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again on my next video.